Hello, class. I'm coming to you for, well, a couple reasons. Number one, I want to tell you that at the end of my little video here, there's going to be a PowerPoint video that's worth extra credit, 75 points. So there's a good chance for you to get your grades up and also to maybe replace some bad grades and maybe omit some other assignments. So be sure and do that, and there'll be a little quiz at the very end, just like we had with the one on culture, but this was going to be on leadership. Next thing I want to do is I just kind of want to tell you how much I've enjoyed teaching you. I only got to see you the first half of the semester. Didn't get to see you the second half, but y'all have done extremely well, and I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing you again. In the fall, I won't be a Mainer because they don't have a course I teach, but hopefully next spring I'll be back, so I can maybe see y'all in the halls and say hi to you. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about is when you do videos. Y'all are doing great videos, but as you start doing more videos, and particularly let's say you're trying to interview a job and they want to do a video of you, always think about how you're trying to be in the right place with the right type of background. Now, so happens I'm in the largest room in my house. This is actually my library. And as you can see from looking back here, I'm sitting on the second floor. I'm looking at my desk where the camera is, but behind me, of course, is the banister. You really can't see too much, and then you can see the other parts of the second floor. This room, about 30 feet tall, pretty high. That's why we have two floors to it. It's about 40 feet wide, 45 feet long. Books wrap around on the top floor and the bottom floor, except for this little section on the top floor where actually my desk is. Downstairs, if I was to go downstairs and looking down there right now, there's several tables down there. These are reading tables, and those reading tables, they've got special lights, and people in the neighborhood actually come over here and they read books because I've got over 20,000 books here. And they will take the books and read them. I have all types of catalogs of the different books. And if they want to take it home, they're welcome to do that. I just check it out to them, so I do want to get it back. And then I spend a lot of time putting books back on the shelves, as you can imagine. So, but I enjoy doing that, and someday all these books, my children don't want them, so they'll probably all go to half-price books. And all these very rare books that go back to the 1700s and 1800s probably be sold for like 25 cents. Okay, this is not a room. You know it's not. But sure looks good, doesn't it? Well, the reason why I do this is that as you are growing into different things that you're going to be doing in school and maybe applying for jobs, you're going to be doing things online and videos. And it's always good to have some type of nice backdrop or background somewhere in your house or when you actually move out to your apartment or a dorm that you can shoot videos from. Now, this is a little bit over the top, right? I mean, this is a little bit too much. This is actually not a wall. Look at it. You see, it's a piece of fabric. Isn't that fun? Okay, but doesn't it look right? It looks kind of like it's real, doesn't it? This thing probably cost me about, oh my gosh, let me think, probably all about $12. So for $12, I've got 10 feet by 6 feet of a very cool bookcase behind me. And so I do this because I'm trying to show you how important backdrops are when you're doing a video or when you're recording things. And there's some really nice ones out there that are very plain, just blue bonnet fields and all that. I just so happen to like the one that's a book. Well, class, I really enjoyed having y'all. And I really appreciate that y'all been working, trying to get some things done in the class here. And I'm looking forward to hopefully next spring coming back to see y'all, and maybe you can come by and say hi to me. Of course, you got any questions, send me an email. And please stay tuned here and watch the very short, I don't know how short it is, PowerPoint about leadership, and then answer the questions on the quiz and get yourself 75 points. Y'all have a great day, have a good week, and a great summer. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye now. Hello, and I'm Dr. Randolph Wilt, and today we're going to be talking just a little bit about leadership in organizations. And to get into it, we're going to talk a little bit about culture too, organizational culture. And this is actually a picture here of Boston, Massachusetts. And one of the things that's in Boston that is very interesting is this picture. Now, where is this? Well, this is actually at Harvard, in Harvard University. So let's go back to that picture. What does it look like to you? Actually, that is the undergraduate dining hall. Have you seen a picture like this before? Does this kind of resemble something? Maybe something that you've seen in the movies? Well, yes. You remember in the Harry Potter movies, doesn't it look a little bit like that? You know, where all the students are lined up eating. But I want to tell you something, is that it actually was not developed after Harvard, even though it looks like that. It was developed after this room. This room was at the University of Oxford. This is actually in one of their colleges called Christ College. And here you can see it actually looks very, very similar. And this is what Harry Potter was pretty much modeled after. Not so much this, even though it does look like this with the ceilings and the lights hanging down, but a little bit more like this, which, like I said, is a Christ College. And this is Christ College and Christ College at Oxford. And this is part of Oxford. Now, what's interesting about Oxford is that Oxford is a collection of a bunch of colleges. You see the left-hand corner there, all the different seals. So you have, I think they got like 34, 35 different colleges. And those colleges, each one specializes in a different discipline: English, philosophy, chemistry, business, government, whatever. And people live in those colleges. You have faculty assigned to those colleges, and you got the classrooms in those colleges. Now, contrary to that, you have on the other side here, you have Harvard. And Harvard actually is one big university. So you have different departments, but you don't have people literally living in those departments. You may have people with offices there, but you don't have students living there. They will go live in a dorm. Now, why do I tell you about all this? Because you can get a little better understanding when you start seeing how different things react differently, particularly when you're talking about organizational culture, how things can be turned, and how we use different ways depending upon where we're actually located. So we're going to talk a little bit about the internal environment of organizations. So when you're talking about internal environment, you have to sit there and look at things that are important to the company: the vision, the mission, the leadership, and of course the corporate culture. And that's what we're going to talk about very quickly. So let's start talking about the vision. And I want to relate this a little bit back over to those pictures, even though they're more fun than they're educational about Harry Potter and all that. But every university, just like every corporate entity, has a vision of what they're trying to communicate. And what you see is what we call the artifacts, kind of like the old buildings at Oxford or Harvard, those dining halls. Now, what is a vision? A vision basically is what the company wants to be. It's something people used to say it's something they'll never ever reach, they'll never get to, but it's something they want to be known as. For example, Southwest Airlines, they want to be known as the airline of choice. But even better than that is U.S. Department of Education. Their vision is no child left behind. Do you think they ever can get to that? Probably not. That's the reason why they say a vision is what you're always working to get to. You may not get to it, but you always got this where you're working to get to it. A corporate mission is a little bit different. A corporate mission is what the company wants to be known for. So in the case of, let's look at Target here, they want to be known for expect more, pay less. So you can read their actual mission statement here. It's great: to make Target the preferred shopping destination of our guests by delivering outstanding value, continuous innovation, exceptional guest experience by consistently fulfilling our expect more, pay less brand promise, circa 1881. Can you imagine they have that? What is that, 140 years? They've had that same mission statement. Ascension Healthcare is a Catholic hospital system, and their mission is serving each patient as if we were serving Christ himself. That's rather strong, isn't it? Very, very, very potent, very, very powerful on that. Now let's talk about leadership for a second, because leadership is the way you manage the human assets of your company. And you have also what's called the box style, and this is a little bit what we call the box style, and this is where you have 3 arrows going directions. And most leaders will pick one or two of these arrows. Very seldom you see them picking 3, but most of them they just really follow one. And these are transactional, transformative, and servant leadership. The first one let's talk about is the transactional leadership. And transactional leadership means that the person is giving out directions like they are military, like a general telling the sergeant what to do. This is a picture here of Lee Iacocca. Lee Iacocca, he was known because he took Chrysler out of bankruptcy and made it a really, really good, profitable car company. But it's because he had a really good vision, he has a great mission, and he knew how to do it. I always refer to transactional leadership as the Captain Kirk on the USS Enterprise Star Trek mentality, where you sit there in your chair, you tell people what to do, fire that phaser, fire those torpedoes. That's what a transactional leader does. And that is really good. People like Lee Iacocca does a great job. Now, the problem is that there's a lot of leaders out there who are transactional leaders who don't know what they're doing. They don't know the proper way to do things. And instead of leading their company out of a bankrupt situation or helping them to grow, instead they take them into a bankruptcy because they have bad management styles, they have bad ideas, they don't actually know what to do with the company, where Lee Iacocca was a little bit different. Now, how does that type of leader communicate? This is what we call the human action communications, where basically you can see here, the leader is the box, and the leader tells the audience, the stakeholders, the employees what to do. It's a one-way communications. Now let's move over to the next one, the transformation leadership or transformative leader. This lady here, she was the president of Pitney Bowes, and she was known to be a transformative leader. Now, what's the difference between transactional and transformative? The transformative leader is like a funnel. They take all the ideas from the staff, from the employees. They encourage people to come up with ideas, come up with thoughts, and it all funnels to the leader, and the leader then arranges it, sees what's good, what's bad, and then it funnels back out again, and then they implement it. So at this point, the leader isn't saying, you've got to do it my way. The leader is sitting there saying, give me the ideas, I'm going to transform them into what can work for our company, how it fits our mission, how it fits our vision. And this has been very popular. As a matter of fact, I think it was the 1980s, 1990s, where this became extremely popular, that you were transforming your company by letting the employees be empowered to come up with the ideas. Now, the communication model for this one here is what we call transaction. A transaction means that the communication is going back and forth. So the employees tell the leaders, this is what we think. The leader said, well, let's refine this. Tell me again. It keeps going back and forth, going kind of through that funnel. Now, maybe you all know Walt Disney. You probably do. I mean, very popular guy. He died back in the 1960s. As a matter of fact, he was a little bit of all three of these leaders. He was a transactional leader. He told people what to do. He had a great vision. He knew what to do. So therefore, actually, everything they did turned out very, very good, basically. But he's also transformative because he wanted his people to tell him ideas. He didn't call them engineers, he called them Imagineers. So he wanted them to imagine things, and they told him about it, and they went through his funnel. And there's actually a movie made called Saving Mr. Banks, where Tom Hanks played Walt Disney. And Saving Mr. Banks was very interesting because this is where you're seeing Walt Disney coming through as a servant leader. Now, in this picture here, you see Tom Hanks, and this lady next to him was called P.L. Travers. Her real name was Helen Goff, but she used the name P.L. Travers. And she wrote a set of books. And that set of books are the Mary Poppins books. And the first Mary Poppins film was made back, I think, in 1964, thereabout. But the story is that ever going back to 1940, Walt Disney, when he first saw the books, Mary Poppins, that his kids were reading, he wanted to get the rights to make movies of them. But P.L. Travers would not let him have the rights. And the reason why, she said, you're going to turn it into a cartoon. You're going to turn it into something no one is going to like. You're going to destroy my Mary Poppins. And she even got to the point that she said that if I give you the rights, which she did, because she got into financial situations, and she sold him the rights only on the condition that she was the creative director and that she had final say. He agreed to that because he wanted him so bad. He knew he was going to make a great picture with Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. But she even got to the point that she said, not only do I want no cartoons, I want nothing red in the movie. Nothing red. Think about that for a second. how can you make a movie with nothing red? Just this picture here, you can see a red back there in the back somewhere. Well, Walt Disney said this doesn't make sense at all. He said, my goodness, this takes place in London. You got red mailboxes. You got those red phone booths. My goodness, he said, the British flag is red. He said, I cannot make a movie without red. And he couldn't quite figure out what's going on that. But this is where he became a servant leader, because he started to dig down and he's trying to figure out what was causing this attitude. So he was looking, and look at the servant leadership. He was trying to build a community with her. He was trying to go in there and do some persuasion, do some listening, trying to be empathetic. It turned out that one of the reasons why she was so opposed to red was because her father, whose name was Travers Goff, that's how she picked up the name P.L. Travers, actually died when she was young, and he died of tuberculosis. If you know anything about tuberculosis, you're coughing up, and unfortunately you cough up blood in the latter stages. So she was seeing her father cough up red blood. So she was very opposed to red, and she was using that a little bit just to control Disney, but she also did have an issue with the red. Disney, as a servant leader, said, it's not what I want, but let's see what the problems were. Let's have some foresight. And he started listening to her, and he started this healing process of saying, let's talk about this. Let's see what we can do to make this type of movie into what you like. And over time, they became good workers, and he became a great leader to her because he was empathetic. It says he listened, and he was trying to heal things. As a matter of fact, in the movie, you start seeing that the person who plays the father, Mr. Banks, he actually wears a red carnation. And so it's amazing how he moved it from no red to one of the stars in there actually wears the red carnation. Now, the servant leader model is a communication model that is an interaction, where you have this constant communication. It doesn't go and come back. It just always flows. Sometimes you can sit there and say there's interruptions along the way, but that's what it is. Let me show you a good example of servant leadership. No, not really. I just have to put that picture in there anyhow. No, it is going to be Truett Cathy, who founded Chick-fil-A. He did die in 1914. But some of the things that he really believed in, one of the things he said, my employees need some time off. So he decided, even though he lost money, to close all the restaurants on Sunday. He also said that he didn't want to make the company public. He wanted to be able to control it for the benefit of the employees. He gave a lot of the money that they made off of the profits to foster homes, to abused and neglected children. He has scholarships for their younger employees to go for education. And then the very bottom here, it says he always took time to talk to any employee who wanted to speak to him. So there are 9 qualities, and many of these is what Truett Cathy came up with about servant leadership. You value the opinions of others. You want diverse opinions. You want different opinions coming in. And you can't say you know all the answers. You listen to other people. You cultivate a culture of trust. You develop other leaders. A good leader surrounds themselves with other good leaders. And then you appreciate those people and you try to build them up. And you help people with life issues, just like Walt Disney was trying to help P.L. Travers with issues that she had embedded for years. You also encourage people. And I like this. It says you sell and you don't tell. Remember, Lee Iacocca, when he was the transactional leader, he would tell people what to do. And even transformative leader, you would take the ideas, but you would tell people. A servant leader, they don't tell people, they sell people the ideas of what they think is going to help the vision, the mission of the company. The best thing here is the window and the mirror. And the way this works is that the servant leader, when things are going great, they're looking out the window and they say, it's because of my employees. It's because of the stakeholders. Those are the people who are making things go great. But when things are going bad, that window becomes a mirror, and that servant leader looks at the mirror and says, the reason why there's problems is because I'm doing something wrong. I need to listen more to my employees. The transactional, the transformative leader, a little bit different. When things are going great, they look in the mirror and say, it's going great because of me. And when things are going bad, they look out the window and they say, things are going bad because my employees are not doing what they need to be doing. So that's where you see a tremendous difference between those first two and the third. The servant leader thinks long term, and the last one is they act with humility. Now, this is a great way to end. This is our last slide. And here you can see that a corporate culture is just like an iceberg, where you only see a little bit of the iceberg at the top. Artifacts looks like it's misspelled here, but you can only see the artifacts, things that represent the environment, the corporation, and you maybe see some of the behaviors. But what you don't see, which is under the waterline, are those standards, those beliefs, those basic premises they operate under, the way they embrace values. And this is a problem we get into because we don't always realize the way those organizations truly operate behind the doors. So as a servant leader, what you try to do is raise that iceberg up where people can see your standards, they can see your beliefs, because if they can see them, the public will hold you accountable and hold you responsible. A transactional leader will try to push them down. They want them below the waterline. They want them behind the doors, so in case something's going wrong, people don't know about it. Well, I hope you learned something today about corporate culture, about leadership ways, transactional, transformative, and especially about servant leadership. And maybe you learned a little bit something new about where the Harry Potter dining hall came from. Now, that is it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you again soon.